it wasn't always like this. But big opportunities were out there for a very few who hustled, who had all the pieces in place, and who were true originals from the very start.
When you think acapella, think rock. There we go. All right.
Very fine.
And just for starters, we're in the white pages.
Oh, wait a mamma mia. Oh, wait a mamma mia, yeah. Oh, wait a mamma mia. Oh, wait a mamma mia, yeah. Oh, wait a mamma mia. Oh, wait a mamma mia, yeah.
Y'all listen up, I'm gonna tell you a story.
We were in a barbershop octet at Brown called The Hijinks. I had been listening to and brought the Persuasions record We Came to Play into the group, and it changed what we thought about a cappella completely, and we started to think about, wow, we could meld pop and rock and a cappella and, close harmony.
The original incarnation of Rockapella was 4 guys who had been members of the Hijinks at Brown University, and we formed the group because we liked each other and we loved harmonizing with each other, and most importantly, we happened to all be in Manhattan. And there was a 5th guy, Charlie Evatt, who would commute down from Boston to fill in for the original bass singer, Dave.
We would just start singing on the street in the evenings and weekends.
People started throwing business cards into our hat, and we started getting work doing private parties, weddings, bar mitzvahs, the occasional local advertisement, and we were making money from the get-go, just reinvesting the money, occasionally divvying it up. We weren't getting rich, but we were self-supporting, and it was a very exciting time.
We had this concern that maybe our singing and our music wouldn't carry the show. We needed to work some shtick into it.
Sean! Tenor! Taurus! Elliot! Baritone! Scorpio! Chuck! Bass! Testes!
When Barry Carl joined the group, he brought with him a level of professionalism that we hadn't experienced before. And he looked at us as sort of like a ragtag group, and he said, you guys, we need to get a real choreographer. So we got this great choreographer, and he was also responsible for us dressing more cohesively. And that really sort of upped the ante for Rockapella professionally.
It was a zombie jamboree, took place in the New York cemetery.
It was 1989. I was walking down the street in Manhattan, and I ran into a college friend, and she said, oh, a buddy of mine is working on this documentary about a cappella. And it sounded really kind of crappy and low budget, so I didn't follow up. A year later, I ran into her again on the street, and she said, yeah, my friend's still working on this documentary about a cappella groups, and now Spike Lee is the host. And I was like, ugh. Spike Lee at this moment was experiencing his coming out as a brilliant filmmaker. So we followed up and we sent our Rockapella's music video, Zombie Jamboree, to them. And next thing we know, the producers, Gerard Brown and Spence Halpern, were coming to see our shows. And we ended up being cast as the zany group in Spike and Company Do It a cappella. Unquestionably the group's big break. So after Spike and Company Do It a cappella, I was in my apartment and the phone rang, and it was a producer named Dana Calderwood. He said, hey, I liked you guys on Do It a cappella, and I'm working on a television show. It's a kids show based on a computer game called Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, and we have an idea that maybe you guys would be like an a cappella house band. And the weird thing was that we had performed for kids at parties, and kids hated us. So the idea of us becoming a family kids act was the furthest thing from my mind. But we said, sure, we have nothing else going on, so we auditioned for the show, and lo and behold, we were cast as the house band on Where in the World is
Carmen Sandiego.
It was a whirlwind at first because we did Whoopi Goldberg HBO special,
We sang with Billy Joel, Madison Square Garden. We did a Taco Bell like featured on-air commercial. And plus, we got a Japanese record deal because I had released a solo record over there and brought Japan to Rockapella. So we were going gangbusters.
My next guest is a very talented a cappella group from New York City who appear daily on the PBS program Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? They'll be performing at the Bottom Line in New York City on July 17th. I saw them there recently. That's terrific. Please welcome Rockapella.
Oh, wait a mamma mia. Oh, wait a mamma mia, yeah. Oh, wait a mamma mia, yeah. Oh, yeah. Wait a do chick chick bum ba da chick chick bum ba ba chick chick bum ba ba chick chick bum ba ba chick chick bum ya ba chick chick bum ba ba chick chick bum ba ba chick chick bum. Ha! Belly to belly, a zombie jamboree. Hey 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 hey.
Boy, they got nothing like that in the Soviet Union, huh?
Oh, the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
That was all really this fantastic launch pad, and the rocket just took off. We quickly emerged as this incredibly viable touring and recording group, selling out shows all over the US, Japan, Europe. I think if you can keep creating and evolving something that reaches people deeply on a unique level, like really good a cappella music often can, it's a great job. And it's a unique life.
To be original, to be a working musician, it can be hard. You've got to put it out there. You've got to do what it takes. You can't be shy. And you've got to entertain.
By the time we met head on, you've been waiting way too long. Join in the fight for microphone. Hey, hey, hey. Sunshine, moonlight, good times, boogie. Sunshine, moonlight, good times.
Announcing the winners of the first Casa Lifetime Achievement Award. Rockapella.
What's up, y'all? This is Voice Play and Home Free. We're sitting backstage on the official sing-off tour, and we were just chatting about how neither of these groups would be here today if it weren't for Rockapella.
It's true.
I know that, you know, when I first heard Rockapella's music, I was blown away. I hadn't really heard a legitimate vocal percussionist up to that point. And then the way they went about arranging, of course, we all pull from to this day.
Yeah.
Also, these guys are writing their own music, which was good.
It was great.
Which got stuck in my head after I listened to it.
Great pop hooks for sure.
Yeah, and at the time, you know, it was holding up to what was on the radio, which blew my mind.
Yeah, I think in a world of a cappella groups that do a lot of like do and dit. Rockapella really set the standard pretty high for a cappella arranging.
They were a huge influence. I mean, the first song Home Free ever did was Pretty Woman, 13 years ago. That was the very first song ever.
We were there on that one too.
Same situation. Yeah.
I think every college kid out there was just hungry to know how Jeff did his sound. How do you do this? How do you do this riff here or there?
Tim does a pretty fierce Barry Carl impression.
We don't need to go there. So a big thank you from Home Free and from Voice Play for not only influencing who we are as groups, but for paving the way, you know, for a cappella in general. And you know what, making it legitimate and showing us that you can go out there, you can sell out venues, and you can make a living doing a cappella if that's what you love.
Yeah!